Food is the foundation to our health. It's either helping extinguish or fueling the symptoms that we are faced with on a daily basis. Most of us are exposed to environmental toxins. However, with food, we can greatly help our gut microbiome. Your gut microbiome is directly linked to immune function, your digestion, and cognitive and memory. With food, we can help feed good bacteria to our gut to live a better and happier life. Hello everyone, my name is Sophie. For those who are new, welcome to my channel Natural Roots, where I talk about all things related to health as a woman recovering from chronic illness and soon to be practitioner. Today, I will be talking about a simple but very important subject, the food we eat. If you ever go to the grocery store, you're gonna enter and the first section you'll probably see is the produce section. It's often the smallest part of the grocery store. Then you'll be faced with aisles and aisles of modified and processed foods. We as humans need to eat a whole foods diet. And sadly, nowadays, even if we do eat a whole foods diet, we are probably still deficient in nutrients and vitamins. But why is that, you might ask? The reason is because we are faced with poor quality soil. And that will be the subject of what I will be talking today. What is and how does it impact the quality of our soil? How does it impact the food that we eat? And ways to mitigate that on how we can do better with what we have. Did you ever hear your grandparents or even parents say that the food back then was totally different than it is now? I heard the same, and the reason for that is that a lot of our grandparents or even parents grew their own food. They had land where they could harvest their carrots, their tomatoes, their cucumbers. They didn't depend on grocery stores to provide them with food. Their food was directly from farm to table, and this is when the food is most nutrient dense. It didn't have to be transported across the country or sometimes even around the world in order to end up in your plate. Soil quality directly impacts the food that you eat. In comparison to conventional agriculture, before, when it used to be, your parents or your grandparents had a small garden in their backyard or on their land. And what did that permit? It permitted not to over-harvest the soil and giving the land a time to rest, a time to replenish. Nowadays, if you look at the big industries that are responsible for basically all the food that we eat, over-harvest the land and doesn't give the land a break, a time to replenish and a time for nature to do its job, to replenish the soil of vitamins and nutrition that we as humans really need. We as humans like to rush things and, those big companies are looking to make a profit. They don't really care if your food is nutrient lacking or, if you're not getting the amount of magnesium, of potassium, of all the vitamins that your body needs because they are looking for their own pocket, which is money and profit. Nature has a way to replenish the soil and provides all what it needs. But when we over-harvest the land, when we are spraying pesticides on it, this destroys all the good things that the soil needs in order to give to the vegetable or the fruit or whatever the plant is. Growing up, my parents always did a huge garden. We would plant zucchinis, squash, tomatoes, peas, whatever you might think of, we would plant it in our garden. And as a child, I remember not liking the taste of the vegetables or the fruits in our garden. It tasted more bitter. It tasted more rich and strong. I remember as a child saying to my parents, "Oh, I like the vegetable at the grocery store more." I know, I was crazy. I would never say something like that today because I do understand that the reason why it had such a strong taste is because the soil was actually giving to the plant all the nutrients and all the good things that our body needs. And that is because my parents did not over-harvest the soil. They did not spray pesticides on the harvest. Even if you are eating a whole foods diet, the amount of nutrients you are getting from an apple today is a lot less than it was 50 years ago. So what does this mean? This means that we can't just eat more. Most of us need to supplement with, magnesium or things that the soil is depleted in. It's not so much about the quantity of food, but the quality. Quality is always best. Magnesium is such an important mineral for our body. It is responsible for the production of ATP, which basically is your cells, and that gives off energy to your body. We are full of ATP. It's basically a currency of energy in your body. It permits you to wake up. It permits you to exercise. It permits you to do the things that you love doing. It also is responsible for reducing chronic inflammation and helping your brain, your cognitive function, which means that you absolutely need to include foods that are rich in magnesium, such as leafy greens, such as kale, collard, spinach. Nuts is also a great option, like cashews and Brazil nuts. And if you have a bit of a sweet tooth, you can always take dark chocolate. It is very high in magnesium. Basically, you want to make sure that you have a well-rounded diet and that you focus on fruits and vegetables and natural whole foods. Now, you might think, okay, that's great, but how do I have access to that? I don't have a land, I don't have a house, I live in an apartment. And that's a valid question. Of course, the best is to grow your own food on your land, but not everybody has access to that. So what should you do? Well, if you live in an apartment, if you have a balcony, even a few pots of vegetables and of fruits is good. You can't always seek perfection, but anything is better than nothing. If not, you can also go support your local farmers. It helps support them, but also helps fuel your health with nutrition-packed whole foods. Soil quality is something that is not often talked about. We often focus on whole nutrition diets, which is very important, but we also need to look at the quality of our vegetables, of our fruits, and of the quality of our produce, because we don't just want to be eating empty calories or empty foods. We want to make sure that the foods that we are eating are fueling our body for our body to thrive. Thank you all for coming, and see you guys next time.